fans. I have sauerkraut in my lederhosen. Oh, well. I don't know why I've been having flashbacks to my old German classes in high school, but, matter of fact, maybe that's what language they speak on Baldus. That's why it's getting catchy again, you know. But, alright. The planet Baldus. Sporadic growth has returned to the surface of this world, once barren. But sadly, it will never be enough to cover the once great frontier. Alright, at least I don't have to worry about any forest fires up there on the top of Baldus. But alright, okay, it's Friday. Reminder again, no, we will not be here tomorrow. We actually have tomorrow off, and if the way things go the way I hope they're going, we're probably not going to have any Saturdays again anytime soon. More details on that as they unfold. But yeah, I was reading the announcement, last night, and I'm like, you've got to be effing kidding me. The main show's in doubt. And as far as I can tell, I'm not sure that War Between the Land and the Sea thing was meant to be a series. I think it was meant to be a mini-series. At least that's the feel I'm getting from it. So don't count on that, being a big thing. Plus, you've centered it around one particular thing, which is dumb. If you'd done a unit series or another spin-off type series, you could have went anywhere with it. But now it's going to be like, oh, well. What are they going to do? Call in Stingray to help them fight off the great aquamphibian threat? I don't know. But a cartoon. They want a cartoon. They want a children's cartoon. Well, the cartoon has already been stated. It will not have anything to do with the main series. It's gonna be kind of like a Dr. Dora the Explorer deal. At least that's the feel I'm getting from it. They're going to try to replace Dora since she's probably off in California rioting with everybody else. But what's wrong with kids having their own show? I don't want my show reduced to a cartoon. If they were going to do like a serious animated series or something like that, I would give it a shot. But that, from what I read from the description, this is going to basically be, Dr. Dora the Explorer. It's going to be like geography, quizzes, puzzles, and oh, great God. Yeah, they'll get more content than us. That's right. Because there's more and more, there's all kinds of shit that is quote unquote leaking out right now. And it's like, guys, nobody's talking. So I don't know where all these leaks are coming from. I know RTD and Bad Wolf are bound and determined to get his next 3 luscious seasons off the ground no matter what. But it's like, if you ain't got the money, you ain't got the money. Yeah, and from what I'm hearing, that partnership's already making demands. But the problem is, where's that coming from? I don't know if that's a legitimate source or not. But given the state of the last few seasons, even though, like I said, I liked a lot of the last couple seasons. Yeah, but the problem is the finales were duds. There was no payoff. And well, if HBO gets the show, HBO will demand creative control. And it's going to be kind of like the deal if they go to Prime. But like I said, look at what Prime's done with Fallout. Look at what Prime did with Ripper Street. Look at what Prime did with just about, Fallout's an instant hit, and it's already been renewed for 2 more series. Just based off the performance of the first series. You don't see that often anymore. And I think that's what their hopes were when they did this deal with Disney, was that it was going to be such a mondo huge hit. They were going to have a decision by the end of series 1. But the problem with what's going on at Disney is a lot of shit be going wrong. Yeah, that's the problem. Even if they get a deal in place, it's going to be at least a year or more before we see anything out of it. Because production things have to shift, budgets have to be calculated, and of course, if you're bringing in another group that's going to want some creative control, that means, guess what? They're going to want some of their own writers on it. So writing staff has to be picked out. Hierarchy has to be determined. It's going to be a full-blown yah-yah emergency. For all you folks who've seen Divine Secrets of the Yah-Yah Sisterhood. Okay, but all right. The problem is RTD has obviously lost the plot, especially regarding, old villains. And then, teases Susan coming back to us and doesn't pay it off. He teases Ruby Sunday's story arc being something amazing, and he doesn't pay off. Now, if they confirmed that everything's in place for the animated thing, because from what I heard, they're trying to look for a production company to help them do it. At least from what I'm reading. So, well, that's because Doctor Official don't know what's going on either, which is why I'm wondering where all these leaks are coming from. A lot of my people I usually talk to are quieter than church mice right now. Because you hear that in the background? That's Chopin's funeral march playing. And like I said, the more and more I go back and look at the series, the more and more I can see possibly some of those decisions were Disney decisions. Such as the Sonic becoming a funky dunky watch that spreads out and goes ooga ooga ooga, instead of being the Sonic screwdriver. Because it was shaped too much like a gun. That sounds to me like such a Disney line. I know there's still people out there blaming Jody and Chibnall. I've seen it. I'm like, Jody and Chibnall have as much to do with this series, as of when RTD took over, as I have to do with the war going on between Israel and Gaza Strip. I'm sorry. Oh. Oh, yeah, and they're even talking about if they have to go forward. Like I said, I've heard this in one, that it could be the show's reduced down to miniseries or possibly miniseries specials or things like that. And it's like, yes, I would love to see the show go on in some form or another, but they keep going backwards and wondering why they're screwing up. Come on, when this thing first came out, we were getting 13 episodes on like a Christmas special. Then all of a sudden, as we got toward the Capaldi era, one of the shows magically disappeared. Then we get to Jody, and all of a sudden we're down to 10 episodes, and a thing. Then all of a sudden we're down to 8. I've got more hairs on my head than we actually get shows lately. It's The saddest part is I would normally disagree with you on going back to the series, but considering the fact that One of the big things that seems to be getting promoted in the media lately is the fact that basically a lot of the world audience, thanks to TikTok and various other things, Reels, and we have shorter attention spans. Why do you think YouTube? I made a video just testing to see if my video thing was going to upload. And it got like, I don't know how many more views because the YouTube shorts are getting more promoted than normal videos. It's the way of the future. But, it is frightening. You see, originally I would disagree about going back to the serialized format, but given the fact that that seems to be the new trend, that shorter video clips and shorter way calls are getting more attention now for some reason, then I'd say it could actually work now in the 21st century. But do people want to go back to it? I know people are, vomiting and throwing fits about Flux, and I'm like, yeah, but at least Flux told the story and it had a payoff. Not one of these seasons since RTD came back has had a payoff that was worth a damn. Exactly. No matter what they put on the screen, unless it's Billy Piper appearing in the nude for her first episode. Well, even then, I don't know. But like I said, there'll be people complaining. It's... Well, the problem is the BBC is in a pickle because even though Doctor Who isn't getting the numbers they want for their overnights, they are still getting money from it. It's still one of their biggest cash cows. I think it's basically helped prop up the BBC for the last 20 years since it came back. And, Doctor Who Unleashed, we knew that a while back. That was one of the first ominous signs I didn't want to discuss, is when the production team for Unleashed is already advertising their services elsewhere and already put it out on the net. Oh, yeah, thank you for reminding me, for I forget to remind you next week. That's right, next Thursday we will not be here either, because it is Juneteenth, which is our latest new holiday that we got with our new contract. I still can't figure out what that's all about, because they're claiming that has something to do with the end of, the last bits of the emancipation and all that. And I go, guys, that's not when the last slaves were freed in Texas. If I remember right, it happened way after that, and it was the Choctaw or Choctaw Indians that wouldn't give up. Like I said, that's a whole big issue, and it all was over 150 years ago. Ugh. I love it how people are hung up on shit that happened a century and a half ago. It was, remind me of something that Rob Schneider. There was a bill on the California House to pay reparations for slavery. And it's like, for one, California was never a slave state. And to quote Rob Schneider, and I'm going to get crude and probably get demonetized, that's like paying money for child support to a kid who never existed, to a woman you never fucked. But I am so glad that Jodie was the one, the new Who doctor that I was told was going to come back, or we saw in the leaks as well. And I'm glad it did turn out to be her. But, like I said, I'm so glad her adventures are going to be going on in Big Finish. I would love to see Peter Capaldi, do it. I'm not kidding. His voice in Big Finish audio, come on. Please, somebody get the Dud Man from. Don't make him do any more Capaldi things. I know his Matt Smith and his David Tennant are on par and very well, but I don't want to hear the Dud Man attempt to do Capaldi again. No, 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 no. It's like somebody the other day was going on and on about something. It's like, so I identify as a Chinese jet pilot named Wang Hong Lo. I'm still waiting for the People's Republic to send me my MiG so that I can escape this capitalist imperialist nation and go shoot down those Yankee dogs. But it's never going to happen. Well, the timeless child thing, that's what's funny about it. It wasn't the timeless child thing that torpedoed this boat. It was RTD's great supernatural idea. Ugh. You see, that's why I love, though. They didn't overwrite the timeless children, but they just let it fade off into the background. So if someone wants to undo it later, they can. Oh, well. I have got to get going. I'm over 16 minutes. I usually don't like to be over 15. And like I said, that means I got to get inside. So please be kind, be calm, be safe. Take care of each other out there. We're not going to be here Saturday because we don't work this Saturday. Also next Thursday is Juneteenth. We will not be here either. So take care of yourselves and each other. And we'll catch you all probably Monday, unless something else develops. Then we'll have a weekend update. All right, take care, everyone.